everyone, Janie here, and today we are going to be making a wall hanging and doing a little napkin crafting, and I really think you're going to like it. I hope it inspires you, and you might even learn something new. So let's get started. For this project, I'm going to be using these wooden hearts that I got from Beebeecraft, and they come in a set of 200, and that is 40 of each of the 5 sizes. So it's a great selection and so many of them, and I'm only going to be using 3. I'm going to be using the largest size heart and then the next 2 sizes down from that. And I love them because they are nice and solid and perfect for what I'm going to be doing. I'm also going to be using this burlap and lace ribbon that I got from Beebeecraft. I absolutely love it. I love burlap and lace together. And again, this is perfect for the project that we're going to be working on today. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to give them each a coat of paint, front and back. And I'm using Martha Stewart's satin paint in Summer Linen. And I wanted to use a light color, but I really didn't want white for what I'm doing. So this isn't actually a real stark white. But I wanted to give it a coat of paint before I start on the napkin crafting so that the wood doesn't show through. And if you're doing this, you can use white or you can use any color that's going to complement your napkins. And now that they have been painted on both sides, it's time for the next step. So what we're going to be doing is using Mod Podge, and I'm using Mod Podge Matte. And I'm going to be giving each of these hearts, just on the front, 3 coats of Mod Podge. So I'm going to have to do each coat and wait about 20 to 30 minutes in between before giving the next coat. So as soon as that's done, I'll be right back. All 3 coats of Mod Podge have been applied and has had plenty of time to dry, and now it's time to start the napkin crafting. And I'm using scraps this month on things that I do, and this happens to be a leftover piece of napkin. And so what I'm doing is I am removing the back layers because you only want the top ply of the napkin when you do this. You do not want the other plies. There may be 2 or 3 plies altogether, but you peel it off and just use the top ply. So what I'm doing here is deciding which part of the napkin I'm going to be using for the biggest heart. And then once I get that all figured out, I'm just going to cut out, not like around the shape of the heart, but just cut off some of the excess napkin so that it's not in my way while I am applying it. You don't have to cut it away, but when you're using such a big piece of napkin, it just makes it easier. But you can always just leave the napkin intact if that is easier for you. I'm going to be doing the same thing for the other 2 hearts, and I'm not going to bore you by making you sit here and watch me figure out which part of the napkin I want and cutting that out. So I will be right back once I've got that done and we're on to the next step. Okay, I've got my craft iron all heated up, and I use a Clover craft iron. It's just my favorite, but you can use any craft iron that you like. And I have mine set at medium temperature, but not all craft irons have a temperature setting. So if yours doesn't, don't worry about it. This will still work. So once I get my napkin positioned exactly where I want it, I am going to use my craft iron to iron it onto that heart. And I know you're wondering, how do you do that? The napkin isn't adhesive. But what happens is with those 3 layers of Mod Podge that you put on, when you heat it up with that craft iron, it becomes an adhesive again, and the napkin adheres to that. And it's really wonderful because you don't have to worry about your napkin getting wet and getting wrinkles and tearing while you're trying to put it on. You just iron it on. It's kind of amazing. But if you don't have a craft iron or you don't want to do it this way, you can always just put the Mod Podge on, and so you won't really need to put on 3 layers. Just put the Mod Podge on and then lay your napkin over it, very carefully patting it down, and let it dry, and that will work as well. So here I'm just showing you that the napkin is adhered to the heart and how easy that was to do. Next, I'm using my water brush, and I'm going to use this to go around the edges so I can remove the excess napkin more easily. And I started off doing it this way, and it didn't take me long to figure out that there was an easier way to do that. I'll be showing you that here in a minute, but first I just wanted to show you what I was doing, how I'm wetting it and then pulling the napkin away from the heart. But now let me show you a better way. Turning it over face down, I could go around the heart with my water brush so much easier, and it made it so much easier to remove that excess napkin. And once you get most of it off, you can use your thumbnail to go along the edge and remove those little excess pieces, and you may still have to wet them every once in a while to get them off. And you can also use like a little sanding block or a little piece of sandpaper if you would like. But either way, you just kind of get those little extra pieces off, or you can actually leave them on because they don't look so bad. And once you've got all the little pieces off, go over it again with your craft iron around the edges, just so that there's not any loose edges. I'm going to go through the same process with the other 2 hearts, but I'm not going to make you sit here and watch me go through it all. But I did want to show you quickly again how I can flip it over and use the water brush on the back, which is a lot easier than the way that I was doing it the first time. As you can see, it just works out so easy. And then all you have to do is remove the napkin. Didn't they come out beautiful? I just love napkin crafting. But I'm not done. I wanted to add some foiling around the edges to give it that something special. And so I used my Deco Foil. And I love Deco Foil because you actually don't have to use a machine to use it. And I used rose gold to do this. So I do have a video out called 7 Ways to Apply Transfer Foil to Crafts Without a Machine. And using this glue stick is actually not in that video, but there are 7 other ways to do it. But in this one, I'm using a glue stick. And, a lot of you wonder about adding foil to things, and you think, oh, I don't want to spend the money on the machine. But there are so many ways to do it without a machine. But not only that, you can't put something like these wooden hearts through a machine. And by the way, I'm showing you that you need to put the shiny side up and not the dull gray side, so the colored side faces up. But anyways, if you're doing something like these hearts, you cannot put that through a machine. If you wanted to do this on a picture frame or on a vase or something, there are so many things that you can't put through a foiling machine and you can't put through a laminator. And so this is just one of those ways, and I'll have a link below to my other video, 7 Ways to Apply Transfer Foil Without a Machine, just in case you're interested in more ways to use this. The glue stick has just enough tackiness for the foil to adhere to, and if for any reason your glue stick is still a little wet, give it just a couple seconds or just blow on it just for a second, but don't let it sit and dry. And another thing about using the glue stick is you will never have precise lines because you don't have the control over it that you would using, let's say, double-sided tape or some of the other things that I show you in my other video. But it is still a nice way to add some foil to your projects. And you'll see when you see a close-up of this that it isn't really precise, but I wasn't looking for precise because I'm more into, a little bit of a shabby look to it. And you can see that there around the edges, but I love how that turned out. I'm going to be doing this to all 3 hearts, but I am not going to make you sit here and watch me do the same thing over and over again, but I will show you when I have them all done. And here they are, and I think they all turned out absolutely beautiful, and they are now ready for the next step. And now it's time to give them a protective covering with Mod Podge Gloss Clear Acrylic Sealer. And I gave them 3 coats of that. And you can use matte if you want, but I chose gloss and it gives it a really nice sheen, but it's not too glossy. Now this next part you might find strange, but I use trash in my projects all the time. And I'm going to be using the ring off the top of my Sobe bottle. And I'm going to be painting that, and I'm going to paint it brown because I'm going to be wrapping twine around it, and I don't want the white to show through. So I painted it brown, and it came out perfect. And now we're going to use the twine. And there's different kinds of twine and different colors, and I chose that because it really is going to match what I'm doing. And I just pulled off a long length of twine. I really didn't measure it. You know, you can always cut off some if you have too much, or you can always add more. But I'm using my Beacon 3-in-1 and just putting it along the outside of the ring. And then I'm going to be wrapping the twine all the way around the entire ring. And just do about 1-inch sections at a time so your glue doesn't dry out. And then just, add a little bit more glue and keep wrapping the twine. I'm not going to make you watch the whole process because it takes a while, and I've sped things up and I've jumped ahead. And so I just wanted you to see the end of this. And if you're using a thicker twine, it'll go a lot quicker, but the color I wanted, I happen to have in a thinner twine. But it's okay because I think it was absolutely the perfect thickness for what I'm doing. So here I am finishing it off. I'm adding a little bit of extra glue all the way around and then wrapping it just a tiny bit more, and I'm going to cut off the excess and it is done. There you go. Some of you may have been wondering what that was for, and you'll find out here in a minute. But right now I'm showing you the burlap and lace ribbon, and I'd cut a little tail at the end. And now you're going to see what that's for. Yep, that is going to be for a hook at the top. And so I am wrapping the ribbon around it, and I usually don't use hot glue. I'm really not good with it. I like using my Beacon 3-in-1 because I won't burn myself, and because it gives me a little wiggle room in case I don't have something in the exact right spot. But for this video, so that it will go quicker, I am using my hot glue gun. So wish me luck. Okay, well, it looks like that part went well. So the next thing I'm going to do is I made a bow already in advance, and I'm going to be attaching that with hot glue to the top right there. So any of you crafters out there that use glue guns, about right now you're going to start thinking, oh my gosh, she's using too much, or she's not using enough, or she's doing it wrong. And I know, I have no idea what I'm doing with a glue gun, but I think it's going to work. Just watch and see. Here we go. I'm putting it on, and let's see, do I have it on good? Is it going to stay? You know what? I think it worked out just perfect. There just might be hope for me yet with a glue gun. What do you think? So now that the bow is on, it's time to start putting on the hearts. And I'm going to be starting at the bottom with the largest heart, and then the next one, and then the smallest one. And that's the order that they're going to go on. And again, I'm going to be using my glue gun to make this process go quicker. And no, your eyes are not deceiving you. The back side of that heart was decorated with a napkin, but I made a mistake. But all of us good crafters know how to hide our mistakes by just turning it over and starting again. I'm going to speed this process up a little bit, but when it's all put together, I will show you a picture of the finished wall hanging. And here it is, perfect to hang on a wall or a door or wherever you would like. Thank you all for watching, and I hope this gave you some ideas and inspired you. And if you haven't tried napkin crafting yet, I hope you give that a try. And don't forget, there are links below in the description box. You're going to find a link to Crafter's Castle, where you are welcome to enter any of your craft projects. And there's also a link below to Beebeecraft, who happens to be the sponsor this month at Crafter's Castle Challenge. So they're the sponsor for July of 2019. And there are links below to the products that I used today. And that's all I could think of. Happy crafting, everyone. Bye-bye.